So we're revisiting Intel today from about a month ago because the headlines just keep pouring in on Intel. So it's really important that we don't miss any opportunities. Is this semiconductor giant stirring? Is it coming back to life? They're releasing earnings next week, and there's some early clues that are starting to come out. So let's take a little bit deeper dive and see what we think. First off, the semiconductor colossus that Intel really is, we all know it's less than 100 billion in market cap, sitting at about 98 billion at the time of this filming. We all know that Intel has been badly beaten to a pulp by the markets. Its competitors have eaten all around it. It's not quite what it once was, but it's not dead. You're talking about a company that with revenues in excess of $50 billion. And it seems like the government forces, at least, are betting on a resurgence and that this is going to be their player, or one of several players, but maybe their main player, to ensure that the United States has adequate semiconductor production in it and the technology capable of competing in the world going forward. So these are all big, big things, and things that we can't miss out on these opportunities. So I guess with that in mind, lots of headlines. The European Union just threw out a judgment against Intel. That was over $1 billion judgment for anti-competitive practices, and that goes back 10, 20 years. Gone, off the table. Pretty interesting. And then it was just earlier today, they released they're moving forward aggressively with the Ohio expansion plans, and that's a $28 billion investment that Intel is making. Since they're hitting the gas on that a week ahead of earnings, that's a bit of a telltale sign that confidence is coming back to this colossus of a company. And again, at $98 billion market cap with revenues in excess of $50 billion, the foundry business appears to be gaining traction. And of course, we can talk about the design side of the business in just a little bit. To finish off on the foundry side of things, we know that they're expanding across the U.S. They're growing facilities, starting facilities up from scratch. You know, Ohio, Arizona, up in the Northwest U.S. They've got lots of activity. They've received a lot of CHIPS Act money to grow and develop this, about $19 billion. So that's a tremendous amount of money and a huge shot of confidence in a company. Doesn't look like it's going to die when you look at those at that information. I guess the other important thing is they did partner with Brookfield back in 2022 to expand up to $30 billion, the Arizona facility. So there's also worldwide expansion that's taking place. Besides the United States, Ireland, Malaysia, Israel, Poland, Germany, these are hotbeds of activity. Wouldn't be surprised to see something pop in India at some point in time too, as India has aggressive ambitions to become a semiconductor hub. So I'm looking for some announcements there in the coming months as well. So a lot of good things happen on the foundry side, and as you know, they're starting to rack up the wins on the design side as well. When you look at Meteor Lake, Lunar Lake, kind of the Core Ultra, the Raptor Lake, the Gaudi processors, they just keep coming out with new items that are advancing technology. And don't forget, Qualcomm is circling as well. They're interested. Apollo has expressed interest. So there's lots of things that are in the pipeline for Intel. Seems like a good time that we want to get involved in this. I'm already involved and have Intel set up in a drip account, and every month I'm adding to that account. But there's lots of opportunity, and at just $23 or so a share, down from I think mid-60s or so just a few years ago. There's huge upside. Again, down 54% year to date in Intel stock. They are monetizing other things as well to shore up the balance sheet. Altera they're looking to sell a minority stake, but still control the vehicle Altera, which is a great chip design facility as well. Mobileye. And then they've also taken huge steps to right-size their workforce, or they're starting to go down that path. I think we're going to find out more next week on that 15,000 plan, just to see how far they're coming to aggressively cut headcount and see what other success they've had, Intel has had, to cut back on expenses. We're starting to see the wins pile up regarding the foundry and, of course, the design side. And don't forget, on the foundry side, they're listing wins such as Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco, and to name a few of those. So that's a lot of confidence in the company, not to mention the Department of Defense and Northrop Grumman have all signed on for Intel to build their future chips. So I guess I want to leave you with some thoughts that Intel's got a lot of life in it. This is at huge lows. I'm personally invested in Intel and think that you should take a close look at it for yourself. And lots of good momentum. Earnings are coming out next week. They might be due for a positive surprise, and it wouldn't take much, excuse me, to fuel a gigantic fire in Intel and bring this giant back to life. I'm getting in on it more. Take a look at it. Talk to you again soon.